Welcome back to another essential movie. Today we'll be taking a look at a story called Equilibrium.
I'll do what I can to see they go easy on you.
At the beginning, we hear a narrator telling us that the Third World War was recorded in the first years of the 21st century. And those who survived World War III recognized that humanity would never be able to survive a Fourth World War. The human volatile nature should never be risked. They claimed the past 3 world wars were driven by human emotions. So the survivor devised a new rule of weapons, the grammaton cleric, with the goal of locating and eliminating the true root of man's inhumanity, his ability to feel. The scene moves to a building where several individuals are looking at paintings, or just art that evokes feelings. A man in a rush notifies them that the cops have arrived. The residents of the building appear to be aware of what is about to occur. As a result, they armed themselves, and there was a violent clash with firearms, yelling and burning everyone. The police were armed with strong weapons, so it barely took a minute to annihilate the individuals in the building. The guns are silenced. The cops enter the building, knowing that the people are still sheltering within. 2 special officers, one young stunning with static eyes and a severe expression, instructs the cops to blow out the door with bombs. Then he infiltrates the dark room alone with 2 handguns. He is some kind of supermaster in his game and doesn't require light to fight, kill everyone in the dark. Then they both proceed into the room, where they locate the Mona Lisa painting under the ground, and that serious-faced man orders it to be burned. Hell, their expression was so emotionless that it all felt robotic. They have no fear, no thought, and no feelings. The year is 2072, and the city is Libria, a totalitarian city-state. When World War III wiped off the majority of mankind, the citizens of Libria swear to avoid any future battles. The city is technologically sophisticated, and on giant screens in the streets, a man called Father is preaching his agenda that they should repress their emotions by taking regular doses of prosium, which is manufactured by a corporation called Equilibrium. We can see that the public is totally embracing prosium responsibility. The Father's objective is to make a better society through repressing emotions. The atmosphere is gray with white and black elements, including buildings and people, which reflects the emotional barrenness. The apex of law enforcement, the clerics, trained in the martial art of gun kata or gun fu, serve under Father's counsel. The cleric's duty is to destroy forbidden materials like as art, literature, and music, as well as to execute violators on the spot. Among these clergymen is our great super-trained hero John Preston, and one of his companions is Partridge, whom we saw raiding in the building at the beginning of the film. Those who can sense emotions are referred to as sense offenders and are promptly put to death. Preston is summoned for a meeting with DuPont, the voice of Father, who observes that Preston is an extraordinary student, capable of instantaneously identifying who is feeling what. Preston responds that he is not sure how he can imagine it, but he is able to put himself in the position of the offender. Preston is a family guy with 2 children, a boy and a girl, but their mother, Viviana, was executed as a sense offender, leaving Preston a single father of 2. When DuPont asked him how he felt about his wife, he said he doesn't feel anything. Something strikes me DuPont is skeptical about Preston, but he didn't acquire any information. Preston reflects about Partridge's past attitude after that meeting. Preston senses something is awry after seeing a video shot in the car on the way to a meeting, so he follows Partridge to the Nether, a name denoting places beyond the city, and finds him reading the poetry book. After meeting Preston, Partridge states he willingly pays the high price of having emotions. Preston executes him as he reaches for his rifle. Soon later, Partridge is replaced by a young cleric named Brand, who is ambitious, career-oriented, and uncompromising like Preston, and who admires Preston's uncompromising job as a cleric. Preston returned home after killing Partridge, but his son, who is also being trained in a monastery and is watching Father's video, did not greet him. He has also lost his emotion. Something is squeezing Preston, and he is not feeling good psychologically. As he lies in bed, he recalls his wife's arrest and execution. He recalls his wife's last kiss when she murmured, "Remember me." Didn't you notice that our heartless wooden hero is veering off course? So the next morning, he either purposely or inadvertently misses his prosium dose. I had the impression that he dropped the pill on purpose when his kid requested him to keep an eye on it. As you can see, there was no family bonding, and the little kids were rude to their single parent. The next day, they are given the task of apprehending a sense offender, Mary O'Brien. She has been accused of sensing things, reading and drawing. Preston holds her in front of a mirror to see how she appears while she is feeling emotions. "That is great, pals." The heartless Iron Man melts as he smells Mary's perfume. They were ordered to execute her on the spot, but to Brant's amazement, Preston stopped him, suggesting she should be kept alive for questioning. Preston's hesitancy makes Brant suspicious. Preston is now interrogating Mary O'Brien, but she questions him back, asking him why he is alive, about his feelings, his breath, and his mission on Earth. She is effectively brainwashing him, and something is altering in our robotic hero's pulse. He'll surely think about it later. When he gets home after questioning O'Brien, he appears to struggle with his sleep. He tears away the papers that were covering the bathroom window, preventing him from seeing out the window at nature, the city, or the outside world, which may elicit sentiments. This was applicable not only for Preston, but for all the clerics and citizens of Libria. They were not allowed to look outside. He felt himself immersed in his thoughts, and he dashed towards the Prosium. According to Father, Prosium was a healer, a redeemer, and a panacea for heart illness. By not feeling anything, they may transform their tragedies and sufferings into peace. He picks up the dosage but stops, glancing across the city, and throws it aside. Our hero has been dramatically altered. He is feeling everything. After that, he began hiding his dosages behind the mirror on a daily basis. And now he's feeling regret for killing Patridge, and I can sense his emotional relationship with O'Brien as well. These thoughts may even prompt him to rearrange his table at work the next day, where Brand arrives with another mission to eliminate the sense offender. Preston participates just half-heartedly. He is now extremely sensitive to everything. He discovers a chamber in the building where paintings, literature, and music records were hidden. He pays close attention to every detail and has strong sentiments about it all. He listens to a lyric on the phonograph. We see the plastic man crying for the first time. After undermining the sense offenders, they are finally handed another task: to murder all the puppies. Puppies may elicit strong emotions, thus the government will not risk emotional sickness. The cops are killing the pups when a small cute brownish dog escapes from the cops and settles on Preston's foot. Cops ask that the dog be returned. When Preston picks up the dog, he begins licking his face. Preston's motionless eyes just caught an extremely tight, narrow emotional wave. He told the officers that he wanted to test this puppy for animal sickness. He drove away with the dog in his vehicle. On the way, he stops his car and brings out the dog he intends to leave there. But suddenly a gleaming light from a car struck his face. These were the policemen that were after him after noticing a dog in the rear of his car. He initially tries to persuade them that because he is a first-rank officer, they cannot investigate him. They apologize and are about to leave, but suddenly they hear a dog barking. And now the action begins. Preston uses his gun kata talent to burn them all. I'm worried Preston will be captured shortly. He has completely stopped taking Prosium. The next day, as he was practicing his kung fu, Brant arrived to inform him that they would be conducting another raid in Nether, Section 7. Preston is not present for the attack. His expression is evident. He is feeling for the despondent offenders who are being ruthlessly murdered by the cops. Preston comes into a bunch of resistors at this time. He did not murder them. He tries to save some of them by bringing them to a hidden passageway in the building. The combat scene here is worth seeing. Nonetheless, Sharp Brand shut the door, and the culprits were apprehended. Brand hands him his weapon and orders him to execute them all. Preston objects, claiming that these folks must be taken to the examination because they may have vital information. Essentially, he wants to save them. But heartless Brand didn't hear him, and the officers immediately shot them all. Preston meets with DuPont on a video screen to tell him that he wants to crush the underground resistance movement that was forming to overthrow Father and the Council. Preston wants to find them. DuPont gives him permission. He pays a visit to Partridge's dead corpse, where a man dressed as a caregiver of deceased bodies hands him some of Partridge's stuff. There was a picture album journal in which Partridge was with O'Brien in one of the images. Preston is triggered, so he pays a visit to O'Brien and inquiries about Partridge. She denies knowing anything, only that he was murdered by the clerics. Preston discovers the word freedom on the back of the photo and deduces that it may refer to anything in the building Freedom Block 42. So he goes there where a teacher is teaching a class, and Preston suspects him of being an offender and compel him to discuss Patridge. He didn't say anything, so Preston looked about the area and discovered a passageway that led to another room. In this chamber, Preston met Jurgen, the head of the underground. He claims that they were observing him and were aware of his emotions. Then Jurgen transports him to the deep basement where Jurgen's other colleagues reside. Jurgen puts Preston through a polygraph test and discovers that he has affections for Mary, even carrying a red ribbon of her in his pocket. Jurgen claims that you take deep breaths believing that no one can see you, but that you can only be satisfied by yourself inside. Preston says that Mary will be burned in the fire, meaning that this is what caused his heartbeat to become faster. Jurgen understands and says that the first thing you learnt about emotions is that they have a cost, but feeling without constraint is thoughtless. Preston inquiries about the distinction. Jurgen responds that when we want to feel, we may, but others must forego the comforts of life that others can enjoy. Some of us will have to push them not to feel, like me, like you. All of this indicates that emotions cannot be suppressed by force, because existence is pointless and purposeless without them. When Preston asks what he should do next, Jurgen tells him that he must murder father. The next day, Mary must be burnt in a blaze. Preston makes every effort to save her, but he is unable to do so. When the news of a police officer's death arrived, Brandt doubts Preston and brought him before DuPont. As evidence, they examined the crime report and investigated the pistol used in the killing. Shockingly, the gun belonged to Brandt. Preston exchanged guns when Brandt handed him the gun to shoot the underground rebels. Brandt is apprehended. Preston assured DuPont that he was only attempting to gain the trust of underground members in order to infiltrate and destroy them. Preston then meets with Jurgen to discuss the strategy. They agree that Preston would alert DuPont of their location so they will get arrested. He does this, and DuPont is pleased. He makes plans to visit father. To meet father, the visitor must wear a white gown and pass a test. The primary genuine plot of the novel is now unfolding. On the video, father tells him that he has known for a long time that Preston can experience emotions and that he has stopped taking Prosium. Eventually, Brandt appears, and it is revealed that all of this was planned by the council. The council wants to eliminate the underground but has failed several times, but this time father devised a scheme in which they must recruit someone who thinks like them in order to kill the resistors. So they chose Preston, first killing his wife, then his partner Partridge, believing Preston will eventually crack and cease using Prosium. Preston was still unblemished, and they were married, so he snaps. Preston was being manipulated by the bloody council. Preston is unaware that the father died years ago, and that DuPont has now been elected father. But wait, Preston has superpowers. Preston becomes enraged at learning all of this. All of his senses abruptly halt, and he murders the whole army there alone, then walks to the DuPont chamber, where he duels first with Brandt and kills him instantly in just a second. He then has a drawn-out fight with DuPont, but finally gets the upper hand and kills him too. We see the underground invading the building and destroys the Equilibrium Company. Everyone is granted liberty. Preston is standing beside a window, watching a new society emerge. This film's concept is novel and exciting. Cinematography is typically done in mild black and white and gray colors to emphasize that individuals have no emotions. It tells us that humans can learn to manage their unpleasant and wild emotions by utilizing their mind and conscience, and that there is no outside force that can undo human feelings. A quote from the movie that stuck with me was Partridge. Just before he was killed, he said, "But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams." This is a hidden sci-fi gem. If you like thought-provoking movies, I would recommend watching this. Thanks for watching another Essential Movie Recap. Please like and subscribe.